Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Scurvy Scouts and Pirates of the Caribbean film series. Simon Angels here. Today's the day is Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. We are just a reinstatement today and remaster of a Jurassic World Chaos Theory Prologue. And that's one to the part of about on last year ago. That was from 11 months ago. And that should be also reconfirmed tour for about, for instance, just like it before started for the season 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, which is as far as it concerns, it takes more over limitations just like 2 years, like the directors of the Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, Hidden Adventures, and on. They also have to remove it for Netflix until the end of December. Until the end of November, until for about the next month, due to the rent for opportunity. So this one's called the opening through departure, which is about the adventure begins through the departure for the episodes 1 through 10. When Jurassic World Chaos Theory Prologue is also the part of the Brooklyn's timelines. It eventually included 11 months, which is a part of about 11 months left between April 2021 through March 2022. So which is science today for the Brooklyns came over to her the first time. He just came over to hang out for the 8 hours ago while she's working to the opportunity. So after Brooklyn joins to DPW Investigative Reporter and Journalist, that was like 3 months ago from 2021 from the January for New Year's Day. Brooklyn had to join, she was 19, she was the January 2021. That was the day one. That was on the New Year's Day of 2021. Her dad, her two dads, her friends, or her family, she were joined to the options for the opportunity that goes on and on. Even most of the half on those characters between relationship with Kenji, he still lives into on trailers for the Rocky Mountains of the Colorado State. Now Ben lives on the Delano University. Basically also living closer for that on 2 or 4 years at the Delano University. Eventually Yasmina works at the PTSD before she moves on to the island of Wyoming State. Eventually Sammy stays into the farm besides his boss, this guy named Carl Weigel. So basically, Brooklyn had came over to hang out for the Sammy's house for about the first time since he was also like on the picnic for the Texas between their best friends, along with the sides of the make a college for a longtime friend. If Yasmina was in the college and working at the PTSD to make money, she was a good idea for this instance to the dealing with two. While Brooklyn she's brought for the laptop, working on the Dark Jurassic on the Sammy's bedrooms. She also between relationships and most of the kind for the confirmed stats for willing to do for the opportunity. These ones for the options for Ghost on Ghost. For instance, for the global situation and sanction of the timelines it was. These opportunity for those the options for Ghost on Ghost. It did well as far as we concerned. It's just like one of those others, just like we said, for no instance of the idea. Even Brooklyn had noticed for her friend Sammy, while she's invited to come over to her house for the ranch of the Texas State at a farm, before she picks up Bumpy from Manticorp from Dr. May Turner after the death of Jurassic Park after eruption of Mount Sipo, and after the destruction of Isla Nublar from the last 3 years for the CGI animation of a Universal 100th anniversary, and Ablem Entertainment of the DreamWorks Pictures presents. So Darius had graduated from high school while continuing working on Department of Prehistoric Wildlife as a DPW workers. He joins into the opportunity between his brothers, his another brother with his best friend, and his mom, and his spiritual heavenly was his dad. So while he died after the sick and illness. That was a Hartford like 5 years ago. Well, and didn't that work that way as far as he is concerned about the Kenjis watching over about friends and family while he's speaking on the graduation, that he also doing it on the DPWs. Even Darius is doing a good job of that, alongside with his boss, Ronnie. She is a DPW sergeant and palliative vet. She has the pet, Gordon, the Compsognathus, and she has raised from the dinosaurs also choose for opportunity. He chooses to along with Kenji and Brendan and her mom and his mom, and Kenji goes to on the picnic with Brooklynn. He also spends the night with Brooklynn for about up there for the picnic. That was from July 2021. That was the most idea was. That's their storylines between the 5-year relationships. And eventually, they have the 5-year anniversary with his girlfriend and her boyfriend. And between those, a relationship for the last things for this moment. And that time, we options would get to the chaos of descriptions for contents. And eventually, social media, this long with the size of the Dark Jurassic, with it joins to the opportunity OMG. That's as good as the Dark Jurassic. Even Brooklyn wants to invite Ben and Yasmina and Darius and Kenji and Sammy. All 5 of us would join Dark Jurassic with Brooklyn. Moses' idea, and eventually between following a couple of years, that's including 20 years through or 30 years or 40 years of CGI animations with the CGI Universal DreamWorks Pictures, like The Prince of Egypt, Joseph, King of Dreams, The Road to El Dorado, and Sinbad. Mostly the Spirit, Stallion of the Samara, and Spirit, the Riding Free. I also have on August 2021, Brooklyn had visited on Yasmina on the Stegosaurus enclosure before she moves on to the PTSD on the island of the Wyoming. Before she goes on to college in 2 years before she makes money, she kind of like to go for the class, and due to the studies and due to the options for applied applications applicable for emotions a picture presents to on the Stegosaurus. Well, it seems to works that way for also for this idea between us to the episode 6 for Freefall, and that's why we're gonna have to make a chance with it for about remaster for explanations. A lot of those guys for opportunity, but that's where it became with the relationship between the best friends and between her friends were going out to her visit for her house, and that's the last chance to be one sort of between her relating to for about description with the disabilities, like 25% populations, and eventually along with this days between 50 states. Even after dinosaurs spreading around the world in global situations. And that takes about next month at the fall September. Ben Pincus, call him Benjamin. He still's in the dorm. he goes back to the Delaware University within about the 2 years. For all this time, for this experience, even unknown colors, while he slept in through the desk at his dorm room without his bed. Even Brooklyn just called Ben while he's on the window inside. They walk up there through the top of the roof in the dorm. His unnamed girlfriend was waiting for us until the burgers for dinner. And that's the midnight breakfast. All we have to do is make themselves to eat. Apparently, Ben called his girlfriend while Brooklyn's standing around hanging out for the bands at Delaware University. Ben rides a motorcycle, just the two together, waiting for the band's girlfriend while he's standing outside of the burger's truck. They have the dining room there, just like RV trailers. Well, three guys is having fun today between the fries and burgers. Even the drinks is most of the fun. They have the most idea. They have the delicious food. Sometimes they do have Bumpy just pick up by Sammy. She was talk about this for optionals, for observations. Even the Ben says Bumpy has 5 years old. That was an Ankylosaurus adult. That was a blue one. They have a no instance of the idea for no aggressive, no instance for this interestings. Before I believe that, as far as I am concerned, for the last things about 5 years ago, that was from almost 6 years old what Bumpy is. That was like a born with his egg, where they're incubated by Dr. Henry Wu, where they're cloning dinosaurs. Even that Brooklyn told Ben and his girlfriend where they told about this, with the opportunity, where there's a whole side of the hangouts, before he goes on the musical guitar players with his concerts and this program. But she goes back to her home return to her home at Denver, Colorado, like before her call of her two dads and Kenji, Darius, and Ben, and Sammy. Even Darius was moved from Northern California at Nevada County. Even like last 3 months ago, even Darius moved to his cabin with his living rooms, dining rooms, and chairs, and upstairs his bedrooms. Seems as like on outside of the porch tables, like smaller barbecues placed for the cooking stuffs. Well, I noticed since I was understand that as far as I'm concerned, it takes more than about 6 months. Like it before her attack, that was like it that night, the drop. That was all emotional things about the abandoning behind. Even Sammy and Yaz, they're not separated. Even Ben and his girlfriend, they're still in a relationship before she goes back to working on Biozen Sanctuary at Europe, at the Biozen Valley and Dolomite Mountains, and Italy. That's Ben's girlfriend, works on Biozen Valley in Italy. She also known as Sydney. She works on Italy, at the Biozen Valley. So she'll definitely, Brooklyn had arrived on the motorcycle before she returns to the Kenji's trailers. She notices for about the Cam Fan for Live video shows for 30 minutes ago. That was like definitely she was alerted to her phone before she goes to the halfway home for the DPW Penitentiary prison. The while Daniel Khan's after sentencing for about the 5 years of the prison. So basically, Daniel had confronted by Brooklyn before she wants to sell all of the unknown dinosaurs. Even the Kenji just called her before he was upset. It was just pretty late for the climbing the structure for one of the dinosaurs before the half of the behalf is too late. like in February 2022, like the last day of the winter. Either Brooklyn and Kenji notice who finds out about DK's alert for the voicemails. That was a Brooklyn's who was texting for the DK. That was a Kenji's dad. He's pretty sadly, or perhaps it's too late. He put his hand under her cell phone just as softly. He's pretty sadly. He also like if he's broke up with her, and she's not paying attention before she walks away. Before she left from the Rocky Mountain to the city of Denver, Colorado. Before she returned to her home at her secret apartments. She opens the door and slams it, and she throws the picture away to the trash. And now she looks up for the DPW's paperwork of the Dudley Cabrera stuffs, and she rages over to the paper stuffs between returning working to the DPW's Dark Jurassic place at the Clever Girl 86. The unknown guy for the DPW just brought the heavy bag and knocks on the door on her apartment. She opens it. She lifts it to the heavy bag just like a luggage, like a clothes and all the stuffs. She's unzipped it. She got a lot of money, between a lot of stash of cash. She got millions of dollars. She takes out an amount of hundreds of dollars of cash before she spends the night in Northern California. Before she calls Darius for she's coming over on next week. And she left her from her home for about a few days before she arrives on 2 days for the Northern California. While Brooklyn had appreciated all the time between in the daytime from the sunset, Darius has given Brooklyn to tea for DPWT spills. Just like she says, she was meeting all the time for the sales to patch for the drop at the night. She wasn't notices this idea that was completely was like romantically. She would likely exactly between that zone, and he equally, Darius is gonna have to go with Ronnie's house with his pet Gordon, the compy. It's a tiny smaller dinosaurs. That's the one she was looking for on the opportunity. If Darius is noticed about his love, Diddy says he's very confused. He says he indefinitely romantic loves her, and he says no. He did not say that so she doesn't like on the opportunity she has her best friends. That's Kenji's idea. After Brooklyn broke up with Kenji for optionals, and that could be happens for opportunity for now. Darius is saying about his love Brooklyn. He had no idea what they're dealing with for Brooklyn. She was reciprocating her feelings, and she rejected from Darius's love for while he's leaving. When Ronnie's picking him up for the compy's injured place. Now Brooklyn had met Ronnie for the first time since the Clever Girl 86. She was heard about for the first time ever about. She was also last year ago, from February 2021. Brooklyn had to hang out for the Darius's cabin. He goes inside to his living room before it goes on to the night. Even like 5 hours ago, Even like just spends the whole time for the opportunity, while Brooklyn had to leave from his house for the 10:05 p.m. like others like 50 minutes ago. While the DPW's truck named Mateo, he also brought the blind eye Allosaurus. He stops the truck and then another truck didn't show up. The while a Velociraptor handler truck, even though letting the tiger, Panthera, and ghost go through their smells like a human flesh. And that's the bad news point. The bad point is, the raptor handler just also walks through there with the 3 pets. They have the muchest idea with the temporarily 3 pets. The 3 Velociraptors, they have the most idea with dealing with too. The someone's hunting Brooklyn without any of the permission, without any of the animals, any of the people, with any about the DPW units. And that's where what happens there for the walking in the dark that night through the dark forest. Now Brooklyn was in the woods. She lost in the woods. Along the sides where the Allosaurus escapes. He exits from the DPW's truck, while Mateo just running through back behind the trees and bushes. For that's what happens where Allosaurus just sniffs around through the bushes. He makes the noise of a lot of bushes. If they somewhat bushes a noise, he sniffs and he sounds like a bushes rusting in the trees and bushes. Even Brooklyn almost crossing the road, even the DPW truck stop, and then he goes back in through the woods and hides in through the bushes and trees and woods. And she called Darius. What he says, "Where are you?" And Darius just left. Darius just went home about 10:15, and then he practically called by Brooklyn before he runs from his cabin, before he finds out. Well, no wonder sometimes Darius went home about 10 minutes ago from Ronnie's house. And it may be accomplishable if you feel better. Well, Ronnie had Brooklyn's voicemails for about the 5 seconds ago onto the 30-second video recording on Dinosaur's observation where the Allosaurus alerted her and harmed her. Even Allosaurus, she was chasing off from a DPW through the DPW's truck, and the Raptor Whistle ladies just letting the 3 Velociraptors surrenders Brooklyn, and then she drops the phone from her hand, and then she walks through there to the street road through the trails, and she whistles while the Allosaurus gonna have to attack the bite off tiger's tail and Panthera, including for Brooklyn's life. While the blind-eyed Allosaurus almost indefinitely saved her life from an Velociraptor, tiger, and Panthera, and he was loomed by a ghost, the Velociraptor. That was that night between also for the Clever Girl 86 and that night and about the drop. She also have what happens. That's the very she got a consciousness. She was blocking out for the left arm while they're letting the ghost just bites off Brooklyn's left hand. The ghost just bite off Brooklyn's left hand before he made her unconscious her for no reasons. Ronnie heard her Brooklyn screams, and Darius heard her too. And then while the Allosaurus just triumphantly over Velociraptors, the 3 raptors are retreated. He will also blind out Allos just hiding through the bushes and trees, while the Mateos just walks through there from the DPW's truck, and she has her phone, and he looks up through the blood on for the road, and he looks up to the large pool of blood for Brooklyn's, while before Ronnie's just carrying for Brooklyn's body while she's consciousness. And then Darius just called Brooklyn while after she dropped her phone from the Raptors, while after Allosaurus fending off the raptor. Basically, Darius didn't show up for Brooklyn that night of the drop. At that DPW Sergeant Paleofed just took Ronnie to her house. Even the Brooklyn just unconsciousness, she got a lot of blood under her left arm, so she couldn't die that night. She was unconsciousness at that night. Definitely she got a blood on from the Raptor attack. And that's what happens. Brooklyn got a lot of blood on her left arm because a Raptor ghost did. Even the Allosaurus just fled through the dark forest, while the Raptor retreated to the Raptor handler's truck. That was her idea. She was left behind. He failed to show up for the Brooklyn, while Ronnie's taking Brooklyn to her house before she's due to the stitches and surgeries and recovering for the bandages is like a few weeks. The idea is that was 40 days and 40 nights. Even the Brooklyn spends the night for the 40 days for the Ronnie's house. The opportunity is that what happens for Brooklyn just lost a left arm between her fake death? But she doesn't die that night on the March 12th, 2022. She was seeming consciousness. That's what Ronnie says. That's what happens. That was like on the consciousness. She almost died. She was unconsciousness. Even the Raptor attacked Brooklyn with a left arm. That's what happens for the left-hander's loss to Raptor ghost. Even the Kenji blames Darius after on Allosaurus fending off Raptors. Even the ghost despite of Brooklyn's left hand, and she didn't die that day. She was a fake dead. Well, actually, she makes work so hard for the opportunity that goes on and on. But she seemingly on the next month and 10 days, Brooklyn got a haircut on the turns blue, and she returns working to the Dinosaur Liberation Now applications with an opportunity, which is about Darius was quit from the DPW, which is he didn't trust the DPW regional directors, Dudley Cabrera, and then he was resigned as a DPW due to the cuts. He was quit from the DPW, and he doesn't work for the DPW regional directors and the Jensen ever. So he also before Brooklyn leaves, before she finds out, before she goes on new friends and new families, after Darius and his friends and her two dads are her funeral, between her death for their time and alongside with Sammy, Yaz, and Kenji and Ben. However, the 5 of those are survived. Even one was hiding at the Ronnie's house. And then right now at this time, Brooklyn was leaving from Northern California in 40 days and 40 nights. And then that's where Brooklyn, before she goes working on the DLN within the Dinosaur Liberation Now, before Ronnie goes home at tonight. And that's where it goes on. 10 episodes on the adventures begins through the departure of a Jurassic World Chaos Theory Prologue. Be sure don't forget to subscribe to more contests, including Twitters and Instagrams, Facebooks, to Google Vines, and TikToks, which is just following on the Netflix.com. Go for there for about the JWCT Prologue, which is about the Brooklyn's timeline with Kirsten Kelly, which is about replace Jenna Ortega and Kenji Khan played by Darren Barnett, which replaced Ryan Porter of a Jurassic World, Camp Cretaceous through Chaos Theory. Ladies and gentlemen, it is almost night. Feel free to watch and Jurassic World Chaos Theory Season 1 and 2. Season 3 comes out on March 2025 at the Mid-Spring. And don't forget, now keep it rich, mateys.